Yeah.
It was it's funnier when I can actually do it, but I can't post a photo of my feet like that
Yeah. That
on the internet.
not for free.
Welcome back to the Breaking the Internet podcast.
Hello.
Welcome back to the second episode. I'm at Ending with Allie, and we also have She Networks here.
Hello. Again.
And today we have a very exciting episode because we're talking about AI, and I have feelings.
We have a lot of feelings. Well, mainly because there's not a day that goes by where you don't see AI in the news, in headlines. So yeah. I think this is a topic that we have to cover, because how can you not cover it?
Oh, yeah, of course. But first, a word about today's sponsor. Are zero-day exploits and supply chain attacks keeping you up at night? You're not alone, and there's a solution that might help. ThreatLocker.
Think of ThreatLocker as your proactive security partner. Instead of waiting for threats to appear, it works on a deny by default principle, meaning it blocks everything unless your team specifically approves it. This way, you can be sure that every action, process, and user is tightly controlled. Plus, ThreatLocker provides a complete audit trail of what's been allowed or blocked, which is great for managing risk and staying compliant.
One standout feature is ring fencing, which prevents applications from becoming weaponized by restricting how they interact with each other. This ensures that even if a threat tries to exploit an application, it can't affect other parts of your system.
Their US-based support team is here to help you every step of the way, from getting started to keeping things running smoothly. By using ThreatLocker, you can protect your organization from ransomware and ensure that your trusted applications remain secure and efficient.
Companies like JetBlue already rely on ThreatLocker to keep their data safe and their operations running smoothly. If you want to learn more about how ThreatLocker can safeguard your organization and ensure compliance, check out threatlocker.com. That's threatlocker.com. But I was wondering if I could start off with a rant.
Okay. Wait, a rant about AI?
About AI.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
Ladies, gentlemen, non-binary pals, we need to have a discussion about the word hallucination. Okay, you look confused. Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Because everyone says when their AI gets something wrong, they say, oh, wow, the AI hallucinated. The AI hallucinated, and it's giving me wrong things because it's hallucinating. No, it's just wrong. It's just wrong. Say it got it wrong. Stop trying to brush under the fact that AI is wrong. Like, it's not hallucinating. It's giving you wrong information. By saying it's hallucinating, you're like brushing away the actual fact. I don't know what the term is here. You are undermining the fact. You are diminishing the fact that people need to start like that people need to take AI with a sense of skepticism. See that it gets it wrong. If you say, oh, it's just hallucinating, it doesn't do this all the time. No, AI gets stuff wrong. Stop saying it hallucinates. Please, let's be real about the situation and stop. What's the word I'm looking for? Every time I have this rant in my brain, I forget the word, where you just kind of like take a concept and stop. You just brush it under the rug because you're just like, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's a huge deal. It changes the way the wording of it, and saying like, oh, it's just a hallucination. It's just a hallucination reduces the severity of big issues that can come from AI being wrong. Stop saying it hallucinates and start saying it's wrong.
Yeah. I haven't heard that term used before, but I have really tried to not be so chronically online recently, and I've missed so many things by not being chronically online.
I feel like even at the beginning of AI, people were saying, oh, yeah, it gave me the wrong answer because it hallucinated. And I feel like this term really picked up steam at, I don't know, probably December of last year, or even earlier, maybe. I don't remember the first time I saw it, but I saw it and I was like, yeah, okay, please be realistic.
Are you ready for my rant?
Please, I would love it.
Okay, here's my rant. Here's what I'm sick about hearing is just people constantly being like, AI is gonna take your job. AI is gonna take your job. AI is gonna take your job. AI has been around longer than the internet. Research into AI has been around longer than the internet, okay? And yes, can it do really great, awesome things that's cool and useful? Totally. Is it going to take everyone's job? Probably not anytime soon at all. And my problem a lot of times with these conversations about these like cutting edge technologies is that the conversations are happening between people who do not work in tech, and it blows the whole conversation like out of the water, out of proportions, right? Because here's the thing, a lot of this AI talk is marketing. It's just marketing, y'all. These are ads. And the really tricky thing about tech ads and advertisements that are coming from venture capital or coming from startups or Silicon Valley is that for the majority of people, it's very deceptive. They do not think it is an advertisement, right? So if you look at like, I know you had mentioned the hype cycle at one point last episode, where it's like you look at crypto and, you know, blockchain was going to break the internet and completely change the internet. It hasn't. I feel like most blockchain technologies have kind of just been an epic fail. I think, you know, if you look at Jack Dorsey and what he's tried to do with blockchain and let's say,
it's called like
and
Block.
then
Block is actual company, or I think it's called TBD now.
It's called what?
TBD.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. But when's the last time you heard someone talking about an NFT? Right? Again, these are advertisements. You know, when you see a Dyson ad, the average consumer knows they're seeing a Dyson ad. But when you see these big AI thought pieces from tech people, and it's just how AI is going to change the world and how great and amazing it is, and then you like click on their profile and they're a founder of some AI company. You know what I mean? And that again ties back into what we talked about before of these founders kind of being like these thought leaders. And it ends up leading to like some deceptive advertising. And so that's kind of my gripe with it right now.
Not everything could be a ChatGPT wrapper. Chill. Your ChatGPT wrapping company is not going to make it to the next round.
Yeah. There's got to be so much competition too. I think there's a lot of low effort. There's so many like get rich quick schemes in tech, right? That are just, again, get rich quick schemes.
We need to put this in the episode, our VC chat episode. We have to, I'm taking notes because we have to store this because there's just, that VC chat episode is going to be like 100 hours.
Yeah, I agree. But so that's my gripe. Your gripe is a lot of the terminology around the conversations. My gripe is pretty similar, but it's about the advertisement of AI.
So
and how people just cannot really pick out this advertisement because they're not in the tech field or they're not working closely with AI to really kind of understand the limitations there.
So one of the things you said, and I thought it was very interesting you said this, is that AI has been around for longer than the internet. And so I went to an exhibit at the Whitney Museum here in New York, and it was called, I actually pulled up the write-up of the AI of the advertisement. It was called Harold Cohen is the artist, and the exhibit was called Aaron. And it is called, basically this exhibit was about Harold Cohen, who conceived, and I'm going to quote this from the Whitney page, who conceived software in the late 1960s at the University of California, San Diego, and named it Aaron in the early 1970s. Basically, this software was AI that to generate Aaron's output, Cohen built his own plotters and painting machines which interpret commands from the computer to make line drawings on paper with automated pens and add color with brushes. And this was an AI tool in the 70s to AI generate art. And it's actually really interesting art. When I went to the exhibit, I actually ended up going to the exhibit on the last day because I'm really bad at getting to things on time. But they actually had the plotters running in the Whitney drawing in real time, real drawings, and they're not bad drawings, honestly. If you actually see the drawings, they kind of look like if you ever played the game Pets as a kid, or Cats or Dogs, the ones with the Z. it kind of looks like a character that would be from that game in the like early 2000s. And it's really interesting art. And the entire thing is about his like progress through AI and being an early AI image generator. And it's a really, really cool exhibit. And the fact that I got to see it was awesome. Anyways, you said AI is going to take jobs. And I will say that I do think it's the same energy as, remember in, what was it, 2018 when the no code, low code movement was happening and every low code, no code founder was proclaiming on the internet, software engineers are going to lose their job because we're making the low code movement. Now anybody can write code and anybody can make a website. And guess what? Those people are still using low code, no code tools, are now hiring engineers to build out and make those projects better. Mm-hmm. You can't have a low code, no code tool without an engineer involved in it in some capacity. So it just doesn't work out regardless.
This goes back to one of my thoughts a lot of times on people seeing the money that's in tech, but not wanting to put in any of the work at all, right, to get there. And I actually did have an Ask FM question before that we didn't have time to read on the last episode. But it was basically saying, I want to get into tech while doing the least amount of things possible, put in the least amount of effort needed. And you're just not going to be successful if you have that mindset.
Yeah.
You just won't. You have to put in the work. You have to advance your skills and keep up to date and change and practice. And it's not easy if your mentality is that I want to do the least amount of work possible. On top of the VC hype cycle, right? And now you have this hype for AI. There's even people in tech who want to be like the first person to be on AI. So they could be like, once it blows up, they're like, yeah, I've been doing AI for like so long, like before it was ever really cool, blah, blah, blah. And they want to be that expert in that field. Well, and it's just like, for me, when I'm always going to fall back onto the foundations, right? I always fall back on the foundations, especially from having a network engineering background. The protocols have been largely the same for decades and decades and decades, right? Since like the 70s and 80s, these protocols have remained the same. And all of this other crap retrofitted on top of these protocols are variations of different things. They come and go. Sometimes they might take off, sometimes they won't. I think everyone's just trying to be on the next like Microsoft or Apple, even not just from a founder perspective, but like, oh, I bought Apple stock when it was, $5. And I know someone who basically did that and they're filthy rich. But besides the point, it's just, I'm always going to be a foundations person, ultimately, because my foundations are not going to fail me. They're not going to change. And then all that other crap is built on fit. So if you know the foundations, then it's very easy to switch over from, for example, when I switched from network engineering to network penetration testing, I already had all this language, all the foundational knowledge. It was a very easy transition, right? And so I think that's why I preach talking about foundational and fundamental topics, because those are not going to fade out. What people are selling it as right now, I don't think is going to really play out that way in reality.
Okay, so I have a question for you, and I have my answer. Do you use AI at work right now?
Yeah.
How do you use AI at work?
A lot of times it's for wording. I'm not the most eloquent writer, and when I'm writing reports, and let me preface this with saying I never put any customer data at all anywhere close to any type of AI, right? I don't do that. Mainly what I will do though is kind of look up some verbiage, and even still then I'll change things, because it's like I know what's right and wrong, but just finding the right words I'm not a great wordsmith. So that's really mainly how I use it. And then occasionally I'll use it to debug code.
Yeah.
But that's basically it.
Just like as a general PSA for people, and I tweeted about this, putting your PII, company code, company information into AI is a security incident.
Oh yeah.
And basically, I was talking to my friend, and he told me, he said, if you wouldn't tweet it, you can't put it into AI.
Yeah.
Regardless of like, if you say, regardless if you, for example, on ChatGPT, you could turn it off to have it not learn from your conversations, I believe. Still, I wouldn't do it. Like, I feel uncomfortable putting company stuff online. It is a threat. It is a risk that you put on the company if something does happen. It's an issue. And a great example of this, and there's a way to extrapolate this. I am the security adjacent girly. You are the security girly. You'll have a better answer to this. But most recently, OpenAI had their ChatGPT desktop app. It came out that everything that you put into their desktop app was being stored in plain text in a non-encrypted location and non-protected location. So
it's not surprising at all. Here's
any
the thing.
malware could read it.
My advice to anyone who's using ChatGPT or anything at all is just use it with the assumption that that information will be leaked.
Yeah.
Use it with the assumption, and that's how I use a lot of things like Twitter DMs, Discord DMs, anything that's not like on Signal that's disappearing, or some kind of audio. Even then, you have issues. But use these tools with the assumption that all of those questions and all that history will eventually be public one day.
All I'm saying is that if we're gonna send nudes, send them on Signal.
And, with a disappearing timer so that, peace of mind. I mean, I don't recommend sending nudes to literally anyone. Don't. And I'm not like a nudes hater, right?
If you always operate, your nudes will never leak if you don't take any in the first place.
And it's so crappy that we have to live like that, where it's like you cannot even trust people. Even like, I've seen stuff where husbands had, a husband and wife had a really terrible, nasty fight. And, those those photos were used against them in some way, right? It's horrible. So if you do want to take nudes, I would just say, make sure everyone that you send out is a 10 out of 10 and you look
bangers,
broken hot, right? Like, I was like, damn, which I don't, but if I did, I was like, if something's gonna leak, I'm gonna be like, hell yeah, that's me.
But also, don't put your face in it. Edit the nude, take out identifying features, and then send.
Move over the tattoo, just like a little, blemish remover over the tattoo.
Remove the birthmark.
Yeah. Bada boom, bada bang. You're good to go. But yeah, no, so I had these stalkers for a while. I call them stalkers. They're really annoying, and it's kind of a long story, but they were trying to like kind of extort me, which I mean was never gonna work for that. I'm like, babe, and they mentioned, they're like, oh, we're gonna go to your mom's house, and they had this old address of mine that was in Ohio. And the address was public because of like Ohio voting records are public, and it was where I was registered to vote. I was like, if I was gonna be extorting someone, I'd be doing a lot more research than these idiots did. But anyway, so they at one point like tried to claim they had nudes of me. They had these pictures, and I was like, are they hot ones? Like, which ones? Like, I'm dying to know which ones. And it's just like, do I look good?
Send them to me first, and then I'll decide if you can leak them.
Let me see them. Let's see which ones they have, because I am just like, hey, if I look 10 out of 10, it's like, yeah, all right, I have a body. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. Or they'll be like, oh, we're going to send these to your mom. I'm like, do you think my mom gives a fuck? No. I was like, if you've seen how I am, I'm the toned down version of my mom. She's scary. Oh, and when they were going to be like, we're going to show up to your mom's house. It's like, Okay, well, I don't even show up to my mom's house without calling ahead first because that bitch has guns and a lot of guns. Okay. So good luck with that. I would, just give her a warning before you show up unannounced, but you do you, you know.
I had this AI model generated of me, and the shirts were suspiciously sheer. And this guy posts them online, and I swear to God, if you look at one of them and you like kind of look at it, you're like, I could probably see a nipple in that. And
I
I'm
need to
like,
see these photos.
wait, it was on my Twitter. It was like 2 months ago.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, I'll send it to you
I
after.
took a long hiatus.
But the story got picked up by 404 Media. 404 Media wrote an article about me, and I was very confused about it.
Stop.
But it was just, it's like, as girly pops on the internet, that's like we post content of our faces, of what we look like. People are doing that. Actually, before it got taken down, the last time I had checked before it got taken down, it had 40 downloads on the model. Like, what are those people doing with my face, with my body?
Weird. Well, and here's the other thing. I don't know if you saw that article about basically these students are creating AI porn of other students, and we're talking under 12th grade, like high school, middle school, all that stuff.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, no, it's bad. It's really bad. And
No.
my mom, she likes to post stuff on Facebook, and I like to keep a lot of my stuff very private. And my mom's the opposite. And I just am like, if I ever have kids one day, I know this is going to be a battle. Like, I'm like, zero, absolutely no photos of any child that I might have in the future online. None. Yeah. Absolutely zero. Because I just, once that information's out there, I don't want it to be available. I don't want creepy dudes on the internet making AI
of your kids.
Of kids, and I'm like, that's just something that you have to worry about now. And so that's just it's kind of crazy and awful, and I hope there's legislation soon to address that.
That would be really great to see happen. I mean, there are definitely people where it was a lot worse using AI to generate actual porn. Like, I don't know if porn was actually generated of me. I'm very lucky in the fact that someone from my chat found this for me, sent it to me. I opened it up on stream, and I have my entire reaction and looking through all the images. And as I was looking through them, I was just like, wow, like, I'd never wear that hat. Wow, I would never do that, blah, 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 blah. But then I said, why are the shirts all weird like that? And someone in chat said, it's probably because they mixed it with a wet t-shirt model. Like they had like a body model that involved wet t-shirts. I've never generated an AI model before. I had never even used an AI, one of those like uploading your photos to AI to generate all your different photos. I had never done that. I have no interest in that. I also understand that uploading your photos to a random company on the internet where you don't know them. And I think that a lot of those like AI image generation photo things weren't US based companies, which isn't necessarily a problem. Like, in the sense that, fine, your photos available online everywhere, but to me, I was more sketched out about, I'm installing this app, I'm uploading photos, but I don't know what else this app is doing to my phone. But maybe that's just me being a little bit more, leaning more into the psychopath side of security, more than the like reasonable understanding that I'm probably not a target. But I don't know about that statement anymore.
I get what you're saying. App security is very interesting to me because I've been involved in like a couple app security things that kind of blew up. Like I don't know if you remember the Stardust period tracking app.
I don't remember, no.
So basically when Roe v. Wade fell, there was this big push about privacy-focused period tracking apps, and one was called Stardust, and the founders kept kind of like blowing up on TikTok and getting millions and millions of views, and selling their app as this highly encrypted safe thing, which one, they had not implemented any type of encryption at all in the app when they were going viral and people were downloading it and giving them their information. And two, the language that they were using, there's not a lot of, I would say, crossover from cybersecurity to a lot of these highly feminine products or consumption items. Like the one book that we both read that was a vampire werewolf fiction novel, and
Romance
they talked
fiction
about
novel.
Hack 5. And it's a very, very popular book, like a New York Times bestseller, and Hack 5, like no one there had known that the USB rubber ducky and like land turtle were mentioned in that book, which anyway. But so I sometimes find these weird little pockets of cybersecurity, and back to that period tracking app, they were basically selling this app as, so highly encrypted, and they were using an end-to-end encryption. And I'm like, do you use encryption at rest? Because if I'm one end and you're the other end, cool, the data traveling to you is going to be encrypted, but do you have access to that data on your servers? Is the data encrypted there? Like, is my personal data encrypted there? And so it actually blew up, because then once they did implement it, they were like, oh, we don't have the encryption key that stores on your phone, but using a proxy, you can see that the encryption key was sent to them too. Mm-hmm. And so that ended up being in a bunch of news articles. And then most recently, which could be a whole different episode, was the Temu app. There was this kind of bombshell cybersecurity report about the Temu app, and the governor of Arkansas is suing Temu for their app being malware, and is basing this lawsuit off of
poorly documented,
a horrible report that made no sense. And I'm like, dang, this is crazy that anyone can basically just like put out a security report and be like, oh yeah, we found all these things, and it's just like total BS, and a governor can just sue a company over it. But anyway, app security is a really interesting area.
Yeah, I mean, welcome to the age of the internet, it's the misinformation of it all. Anyways, besides dragging AI, I would like to talk about how AI has been beneficial to my life.
All right, let's hear it. Okay. Let's hear it.
So I get a lot of comments on Twitch, and they're like, oh my God, why don't you use an AI enhanced code editor? Like, why aren't you using Copilot? Like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I don't want to. Why would I want AI to write my code for me? And there's a lot of people who are using AI to write code, which is fine, but I feel like it kind of deprives people of the learning experience of coding. And I was actually talking to one of my coworkers just before we started recording this, and I asked him, and I was like, hey, do you use AI? Have you used AI? Do you use AI for coding? And he's like, no, I've never used AI in my life. I've only been forced to use AI against my will. So when he goes on Google and he looks stuff up and it just pulls up the AI, but he doesn't use it at all. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. But I was explaining that I don't use AI to write any code, but instead I kind of use it as either if documentation is really bad for something, I'll ask AI to summarize and better understand the documentation, or else it would have taken me like 100 hours to figure something out. And a great example of this was that I was using a Golang library for controlling OBS, and there was just no good documentation. I couldn't figure it out. So I literally asked ChatGPT, and I said, hey, what are the possible inputs for this function? Because it literally was not documented anywhere, and it gave it all to me, and it worked perfectly fine. I was like, wow, that's amazing. But the other way that I personally use AI to help build my skills, and I think this kind of touches back onto the idea of how will AI steal your jobs, is that if you use AI to do your job is gone. But if you use AI to enhance your job is here. And I use it as sort of the friend that I wish I had to ask really dumb questions. I have a very low frustration tolerance, so when I'm reading things and I don't understand it and I can't understand it in a way that is processable to me, I'll either copy something and then I'll start asking AI questions about that thing, but I'm not going to ask it to do the thing for me. I'll say like, hey, I'm not understanding this one debugging message. Here's everything I found. XYZ, like I have a question. What exactly is this method do here and how does it tie into this original process? I want to understand. Okay, a great example is JavaScript closures. Just like I always joke that JavaScript closures just don't make a lot of sense to me. If I actually sat down and really tried to understand it in the grand scheme of things, it would probably be fine. But if I could ask AI about my understanding of closures and then clear up where I'm getting lost about it. And I think that's a really responsible use of AI to enhance your work experience.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Like I said, I have used it to debug code, which has been kind of hit or miss. I would say mostly hit though for most of the time. So I've been learning Swift and just writing projects in Swift. And the thing with ChatGPT is they don't have the most up-to-date information. And Swift is changing. It's changed a lot within the last few years. So I've been using Swift data as part of like my data store. And ChatGPT doesn't know anything about Swift data at that moment. So when you put something in there, it's like, I'm not familiar with this library. So it can't help you really. But yeah, sometimes it is like a good time saver when you do need to, I would say when you're in a time crunch or you're just like, I've been spending too much time on this freaking problem. But yeah, I always try and troubleshoot before I resort to that. But it can be helpful when I'm like, all right, I just need to get to like the next part of this project. And it does give you an explanation of why it was written that way or how it fixed or what was wrong. So that can be really helpful as part of like a learning tool. But then again, you go back to this issue where you're talking about credibility and accuracy, and it's not always accurate. It's not always credible, but hopefully over time it'll get better, right? I'm sure that's the idea.
I mean, it's also the idea of learning the foundations in a way that's understandable to me and going back to your point of relying on the foundations. If I feel like I'm not understanding the foundations of this, I sometimes I get really embarrassed about the questions that I ask because I feel, and I'm talking about imposter syndrome, blah, 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 I feel really behind for where I should be in my life and the expectation of where I've been. I feel very behind. So having like a little secret friend that I can ask the stupidest questions to is, it's like the coding buddy I always wished I had. And I'm not embarrassed to ask it questions in like a really weird way or ask it analogies that just make sense to me. But on the sense of them being behind, there's other alternatives. I've heard really good things about Google's Gemini as being really up to date and really good for coding. I don't know about, what is it? Claude, Claude, CLAUD from Anthropic, but kind of on the idea of the bubble is here. I took the New York ferry on July 4th to get to Williamsburg, and the entire inside of the ferry was decked out in Cloud Anthropic AI advertisements. And I mean decked out. Every panel, and then on these boats, there are little desks that you could put stuff on, or if you need to work on the 15-minute boat ride, the desk was like prompts from Cloud that you can ask. And the other one was like a prompt of, hey Cloud, what's a good summer drink I should try? And it was like, oh yeah, you could put this in because it represents this part of summer and blah, 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 blah. So while ChatGPT isn't the most up to date, it's definitely the biggest. A lot of companies are breaking ties with OpenAI and ChatGPT because there's just been a huge security concern that's been happening. And I think that behind the scenes, there was also recently, I know you're adjusting your camera, sorry. There's been rumors of an internal data leak that happened that they just didn't report, or they like lightly brushed off, me applying blush, that they lightly brushed off that just didn't, people weren't happy about. Let's just be real. They've been saying computers will take your job. They've been saying X will take your job. Your job will change. Your job will change. But let's not forget that the AI in a Tesla will still drive you off a cliff.
Not only that, like, I mean, it's just it's tech. Like, you're constantly gonna have changes in your job throughout your career field. If you're staying here for more than a few years, you're gonna have changes. Your job's going to change. So, do I see like AI as like this massive threat? No, I think it's wishful thinking for a lot of people. But
I think that
no,
just
I'm
use
not
it right.
convinced.
Use it to augment your job. Don't use it to replace your job.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. Now, I do want to talk about, there is this one article that says Nicolas Cage, terrified AI is going to steal his body and do whatever they want with it.
Okay.
So how do you feel, like, just gut instinct, gut reaction, off the cuff, how do we feel about that?
So, if there's any person where that would happen, or it's already happened, it's Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage as the walking meme that he is. Like, the Nicolas Cageification of memes. Of course they've already made AI models of you, and it's happening, Nicolas Cage. I'm really sorry if you didn't expect that to happen. I doubt that he's not aware of, like, the super passionate meme community around him as a concept in his acting career. But I think, I feel like you're going to see celebrities on two sides of things. And I love, whenever people talk about whenever people talk about AI, I just want to remind people that Grimes, one of my favorite celebrities into AI, but also I think has gone a little bit off the deep end in regards to AI, because I just want her to release new music. Please, Grimes, if you ever see this, please just, I'm feral for the new album. You keep teasing it. Stop it. Let me listen to it. I love your music. But she released a song in like 2019 called We Appreciate Power. And if you haven't heard it before, the entire song is about giving up and just relenting, like, give up to AI. AI is coming, give up. I don't know what she knew back then, but she knew something. And probably because she was with Elon Musk and having his kids, and he was still on good terms with OpenAI.
Elon Musk, I feel like, is very interesting when it comes to AI, because he has flopped around his opinion multiple times on AI, where I remember for a while him being very, very staunchly against AI and having, like, really, big concerns around AI. But then he wasn't like that. I think probably because he figured out a way that it would benefit him and he could profit off of it, I'm sure.
Was it while he was working at OpenAI? Because he's an OpenAI founder.
Let me think. I guess I don't know when was OpenAI founded?
So OpenAI was founded in December of 2015, and I know for a fact that he was really involved. So Elon Musk and Sam Altman served as co-chairs of OpenAI when it was founded in 2015. This is from an Observer article. So in December 2015, OpenAI was founded by Sam Altman, Elon Musk, Ilya, Greg, Trevor, Vicky, Andre, Dirk, John, Pamela, Wojcik? I'm sorry, I can't pronounce her name, with Sam Altman and Elon Musk as the co-chairs. So Elon Musk...
Was it Wojcik?
I don't know how to pronounce this word. I'm really sorry. It's someone's name.
No, you're good.
It's interesting, kind of the contrast of how celebs approach AI, and I think that a lot of the mainstream celebs are right to be worried about how it does take their likeness, because as we saw with the Twitch streamers and the non-consensual AI porn, it's like a big issue. But celebs that are not just complaining about working towards creating safe AI is just a very interesting concept. I think Grimes is very much on the creative on the other spectrum of creativity with AI, and she literally says, yeah, if you make a song using AI and my vocals, go ahead.
Elon Musk went on Joe Rogan a bunch of different times. I think I've seen some of the episodes. I know.
I've never watched an entire episode. I've never watched an episode. Yeah. I'm proud.
So here's the thing. Joe Rogan's whole podcast and himself has really changed since the inception of the podcast. And so some of his, like, original episodes, I definitely used to listen to them. then obviously when like COVID stuff started happening, stuff started getting a little off the rails. But this was 5 years ago. So I think even before 2020, right? I wish I had the exact date. But Elon Musk was on Joe Rogan talking about his concerns regarding AI. And just in general, you can probably see throughout the years his opinion on AI change frequently, going kind of back and forth, back and forth. Like I said, I think this probably has more to do with him and how much money he can potentially make out of AI, right? And again, I mean, Elon does this. Elon is one of the largest, most outspoken people about DEI hiring, right? And all this stuff.
I mean, we're not going to comment on the fact that he's like replied to your tweets before psychotically.
Yeah, we're gonna just blow right on past that.
We do not see.
Yeah, Elon Musk got mad at me because I blocked him, and it was a whole thing. So
you blocked him and he got mad at you? Was that another section?
Yeah. That's a whole thing. Anyway, so it was funny too because my shit started blowing up and I really didn't understand why until I like finally was able. It took me a minute because I had him blocked. So I'm like, what's happening right now? Whole thing.
Wait, so did he? It was weird tweets. While you had it blocked, because that's an issue.
No, well, I mean, I'm sure he can. I'm 100,000% confident that is plausible.
That's crazy.
But basically what happened is I had blocked this one person who works for Elon Musk in SpaceX and Twitter. And I honestly do not recall the reason why I blocked this person. I block a lot of people. I just block, right? All the time. That's all I do on Twitter is block, block, block. But besides that point, I had made this thread about a guy at a city council meeting talking about election fraud. And he was an IT guy who did this analysis on one of the voting machines. It was just total bunk, just BS. I made this like multi-tweet thread about why it was bunk. And this guy that worked for Elon Musk wasn't able to see the tweet. And so he tweeted, can somebody please ask She Networks why she blocked me? And Elon Musk saw this tweet that he tweeted about me and replied to that, basically saying, this is, we need to get rid of the block feature. And then, of course, that went fucking crazy viral. And at the time, I also had Elon Musk blocked. So I had unblocked the other guy because I couldn't remember why I blocked him. I was like, oh, weird, whatever. I just unblocked him. It was fine. And then that Elon Musk replied, but I didn't see that reply, or, it didn't come up in my notifications because I had Elon blocked. So I'm assuming that Elon clicked my username and was also saw me blocked and then got pissed because I blocked him too. But
okay,
whole thing.
I feel like, didn't we talk about Elon? Okay, so I'm just going to say this. Elon, come on our podcast.
No.
Come on our podcast. Come on our podcast. We would love to chat with you and get the tea. Get the tea. We would love to know, one, is this the reason why you really pushed for the unblock situation? Two, where are you actually with AI? We need to know. And three, how are the kids? How are you doing? Are you getting enough sleep? Oh my God. Come on our podcast.
We're going to get canceled on our second episode.
Yeah, I'm baiting out here. I'll try to get him. Why not?
I don't remember now.
It doesn't matter. I mean, I feel like we've beaten this topic to death. I think the next episode needs to be the VC episode because we need to chat about this. We have I have thoughts, opinions, feelings. We need to chat about this. Okay, we've definitely beaten the AI topic to death. If we told you how to use, I told you my opinion on how to use it smart. We've talked about how we use it smart. Please don't be afraid. Technology is our friend and not our foe. But also be smart about how you use technology and always take it with a heavy sense of skepticism because you never know when it'll turn around and murder you. Anyways, if you enjoy our content, you could find us online at